Hello, this is Mark Andrews again. Come back with a second video on finding hope with mental illness and in mental illness. And the last time I just talked about what I plan to try to do with these videos and talking about it, the illnesses themselves, and talk about how they affect you, talk about how you can get help for them, who you can look to for help with encouragement, things of that nature. But as I come to it today, today's video is entitled What It's Like. That's really what we need to know. What is it like? Did you know that only 1 in 3 cases of depression are ever diagnosed? That's especially true of men, but women more so. Women tend to get depression more than men do. You may be living out there today, you may have stopped by to listen to this video, and you may have had something happening to you, but you don't know what it is. Things are coming in your mind, and you're confused, but things are condemning thoughts and guilt are coming over you for whatever it might be, but it's like you cannot shake it. You don't know what it is. It's strange to you. You can't figure it out. You may have talked to your doctor about it. You may have talked to your parents about it, or talked to a friend, your spouse. But for you, it's very real, and someone who's not experiencing that may not understand fully, and will not likely understand what you're talking about. I'm going to divide the next 3 videos over 3 parts of what it's like with depression. I've had at least 3, and really 4, but 3 major episodes of depression. There's things that were a little bit different with each one. The first one happened to me when I was 17 years old. I don't know what it was. I was living life, dating, doing the kind of things 17-year-olds do in high school, had a car, and I don't know, sometime along the way it came to me, my thoughts started roaming back over the history of my life, and things that I had done in the past that I was ashamed of or that I regretted began to come into my mind, and it began to really cause problems for me. At first it was just an occasional thought, but then it began to come on me all the time. It was like my mind was obsessed with it, and I could not get rid of those thoughts. Well, as this thing began to grow in me, and the frustration began to grow, I decided to talk with my mother. So I went to my mother and had a talk with her and told her about things that were going on in my life, things I had done back in my life and all of that. And she didn't see any kind of problem with my life at that point. And she was assuring me that I had nothing to worry about, but yet at the same time I still continued to worry. It kept going on and on and on, and finally I decided I need to talk to somebody about this, maybe a professional, and so I was referred to a psychologist. And there was a psychologist that did discount sessions for people that couldn't afford it. In fact, it only cost like $1 a session. It was something set up by the county, but it was in the middle of town, 5 miles or more from where I lived. I didn't want to say anything about it to my parents, about going there or what I wanted to do there, but at the time I decided that I would ride my bicycle over into town and try to figure out what was going on. I didn't have my car at the time for some reason, and so I had my 10-speed, and it was worth it to me to pedal 5 miles or more uptown to that office so I could sit down and talk with a psychologist. Well, I began to explain to the psychologist what was going on with me, and how these thoughts were coming in my mind and really condemning and causing me to feel a great amount of guilt. I shared with him everything that was going on and the thoughts I was having, and he said, You're wasting your time worrying about those kind of things. Well, I knew that, but in my mind, it's like my mind wouldn't accept that. It kept on tormenting me and tormenting me. I kept going back to these sessions, the same thing. Another man, I went to see another man that filled in, that took the place of the first one I was talking with, and this one told me the same thing. You're wasting your time worrying about these things. But to me, it was very real. It was very real. They assured me nothing was wrong, but something was real. I found something out much later on, toward the end of my third episode. It took me a long time to figure out what kind of professional help I really needed. If a psychologist had been trained enough, he would understand that those kinds of things and thoughts and things that bother someone that are uncontrollable, the person really needed to speak with a psychiatrist, not a psychologist. Because where there is a chemical imbalance in your mind, which is what it was with me, it may appear that things were okay, but to me, my mind kept condemning me. And I kept telling these people this, and they kept telling me the same thing. And no one referred me to a psychiatrist. And so, I tell you that right now, that if you go and sit down and talk with a counselor and you try to explain all these things to him about what's going on in your mind, and he tells you really have nothing to worry about, and yet it's very real to you what you're going through, you may need to see at that point a psychiatrist rather than a psychologist. A psychiatrist can prescribe medication for you. It's trial and error type thing, but it can eventually help you in a big way. But I was worried about all of this, and I was considering going in the military. I decided to go into the military, and after my senior year, I did go into the service, still hampered by these thoughts, so much pressure. What I realized during that time, was how resilient the human nature is, the human's will to survive. My survival instincts had to kick in. I felt completely detached from reality. I felt like I was someone on the outside looking in on my life as I lived it. I was not connected with my history or anything. It was really, really hard to accept, because I had many fond memories, many cherished impressions of things of my life in high school, and yet this caused me to feel completely outside of myself and really trapped by what was going on in my mind. If I could explain depression for me in one word, that would be the one word I would use: feeling trapped. You cannot get out of it. You can't get out of it. You can't escape it. No matter where you go, no matter who you talk to, you cannot escape it. It will not leave you alone. And I learned a long time ago that you cannot reason with mental illness. There are a lot of mental illnesses that I think they carry one thing, have one common thread that runs through them all. And that is that in some way they're feeding you irrational thoughts, irrational guilt, irrational hardship in your spirit, irrational thoughts, things that are not true at all, but to you can't get away from believing them. You believe them, and so they affect you. A good long while back when I was speaking with a psychologist, he told me, and he was explaining to me the same thing, that I was wasting my time worrying about these things. And he gave me this little thing about emotions, the ABCs of emotions. And what you can do is you can take a fact or a statement about something. That's the first part. The second part, B, is the truth about that thought. So I would take these thoughts I was having, and they can be anything, friend, going all the way back in your life. I can think about that thought. The second thing is I can apply the truth to that thought, and normally you would have as C the resulting emotion. I could do A, I could do B, but no matter how hard I tried, I could not reason with this illness. You might imagine, and if people today, and maybe you out there, you're really kind of scared. You don't know what's happening to you. You're worried about it. You're worried if you're ever going to get out of it. And so many people come to the point where they feel like they can't get out of it and resort to desperate measures. I said in my first video, it breaks my heart when I hear about people who have committed suicide. I don't judge those people. I look with pity on those people because I know what they must have been going through before they finally said, I can't take it anymore. I need out of this. For some reason, God preserved me in mind. My will to survive, I kept on hoping that something would happen someday and change, that there would be some resolution to this whole thing. Counselors wasn't working. And what I did find is that usually in mental illness, there will be a time when it will go away. After I had gone in the service, the Navy, and served my 4 years, when I got out of the Navy, I seemed to be perfectly fine. By the end of my naval 4 years in the Navy, I had begun to slowly get better and become more reasonable in my thoughts, so that when I got out of the service, I was very happy, enjoying myself. And then I will tell you in the next video about what happened after that, sometime after that, when I had a return of this monster called mental illness. And so I hope if you're here today, you will come back and listen to the other videos of the other episodes. And I hope also you will leave comments down below this video. Leave me some comments. Put a question down there. I will be glad to try to answer that in a future video, because I know it means something to you, and it may be something I'm overlooking here. Ask a question there. Make a comment or something. Even email me. My email address is listed there. I'm at jmanders2009@gmail.com. Email me. I will answer that email. I will do everything I can to get you answers. The main thing is you want to try to get through this. And I want to tell you that you can get through this. You can get to the other side. There's some things I'm going to share with you that will be amazing. And I'll tell you that there was reason to have hope in my mental illness. I've dealt with it off and on most of my life. It's been tough and trying. My depression has been diagnosed as of the latest as chronic major depression, which can last periods of time up to 2 years or more. And I know you don't want to hear things like that, but you can look at me and I can tell you that I have been there, and I have dealt with these long periods of time. But I want you to know that there is hope. There is hope. I make no bones about that. No apologies for that. And I will tell you later on in my second video, in this video coming up after this, that is, about how God helped me with my depression. I was not even expecting it. But I'm glad you came by today. But just think about it in terms of, you may be having something strange going on in your life. You don't know what it is. Your mind is like it's playing tricks on you. It's condemning you. Things are coming in your mind, and you're feeling this god-awful guilt and stuff that affects you in everyday living, and you may feel just completely unattached to the real world, at least to the world that you were in before this started happening. Know that you are not new with this. There's nothing new under the sun. And one of the reasons I started these videos was that maybe in some way, when I talked about this, there will be somebody out there who can say, that's what I've been going through. That's what's been going on with me. Whatever it is in your mind, it does not make any difference what it is or what it entails, the thoughts and everything you're having. It's very real, and it's so difficult. And so I hope you will come back in the next video and subscribe to my channel if you would like. I've only have one other video. This is my second, but others will be coming. Subscribe to it and hit the notifications bell so that you will know every time I post up a video for you. And please email me and make those comments in the comments section. Ask your questions, and I will be sure to get on those and answer them in a future video coming up. So thank you for coming by, and may God bless you, my friend.